The Iran War began on February 28, 2026 at 9:45 when the United States and Israel launched an airstrike against Iran. In the attack, which involved warplanes belonging to the United States and Israeli armies, many targets in Iran were bombed. Among the targets was the residence of Iran's supreme leader Ali Khamenei in Tehran. This location also housed both the presidential palace and the National Security Council. According to initial reports, 20 missiles were fired at the target, and 7 of them hit. Ali Khamenei's daughter, son-in-law, grandchild, the chairman of Iran's Security Council, the commander of the Revolutionary Guard Corps, the chief of general staff, the minister of defense, and many other high-ranking military officials were killed in the attack. At 10:30, the Israeli Air Force carried out the largest air operation in its history. Approximately 200 warplanes struck around 500 targets. A bomb dropped by one of the American aircraft participating in the attack fell on a primary school in the city of Minap. 168 innocent children, aged between 7 and 12, lost their lives. In addition to airstrikes, Israel also carried out a cyber attack targeting Iran's communication infrastructure. Messages calling for an uprising against the government were sent to civilians' mobile phones. Furthermore, the Iranian army's communication network was hacked and rendered unusable. For approximately 9 hours, communication between military units could not be established. At 12 o'clock, Iran launched a missile attack on Israel. In the initial phase, around 100 missiles were fired, most of which were intercepted by Israeli air defense systems. The Israeli government declared a state of emergency and warned the public to remain in shelters. Around 16 o'clock, American warships deployed around the Strait of Hormuz sank 2 Iranian naval vessels. Additionally, military targets in southern Iran were bombed with Tomahawk missiles fired from the ships. Toward the evening, the Iranian army began launching missile attacks on American bases in neighboring countries. The Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, the Ali Al Salem Air Base in Kuwait, the Al Dhafra Air Base in the United Arab Emirates, and the headquarters of the U.S. Navy's Fifth Fleet in Bahrain became targets of the missiles. While the bases were hit with full accuracy, 4 American soldiers were killed in the attacks. Saudi Arabia announced that Iran had launched attacks on Riyadh and the eastern province, but the missiles were successfully intercepted. Crown Prince Salman stated that all necessary measures would be taken, including the option of retaliation to defend themselves. On March 1st, Iran's target this time was Iraq. Erbil Airport in northern Iraq and the U.S. Consulate General in Erbil were targeted. Although many of the missiles and drones were intercepted, 2 Iraqi soldiers and 1 civilian were killed by 4 missiles that hit their targets. In the following hours, the cities of Tel Aviv and Haifa were struck by Iranian missiles, killing 4 Israeli citizens in the attack. Around noon, the city of Dubai in the United Arab Emirates became a target of Iranian missiles. Many missiles hit famous structures such as Burj Khalifa, Dubai Marina, and Palm Jumeirah, causing material damage. Around 15 o'clock, the Iranian government announced that it had closed the Strait of Hormuz and that any ships attempting to pass would be targeted. In the early hours of March 2nd, the cities of Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and Doha were targeted by Iranian missiles. At around 7 o'clock in the morning, the U.S. Embassy in Kuwait was struck and rendered inoperable. However, no casualties were reported. At around 11 o'clock, 2 oil tankers flying American and Honduran flags attempting to pass through the closed Strait of Hormuz were struck by the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. The ships sustained heavy damage, and the Revolutionary Guard declared that any vessel attempting to pass through the region would face the same fate. In the evening, Qatar's air defense systems shot down 2 Iranian warplanes, making Qatar the first country to down aircraft since the beginning of the war. In the following hours, Kuwait mistakenly shot down 3 American warplanes with friendly fire, thinking they were Iranian aircraft. As the pilots ejected from the aircraft, no casualties occurred. On the evening of March 2nd, Hezbollah, which maintains a presence in Lebanon, launched many missiles into Israeli territory. Almost all of these missiles were destroyed mid-air by Israel. During the night between March 2nd and March 3rd, the British military base in southern Cyprus was attacked by Iranian drones. Many European countries, especially Greece, sent naval forces to the island to protect southern Cyprus. At around 7 o'clock, American bases in Baghdad and Erbil were targeted by Iranian missile attacks. It was announced that 2 American soldiers were killed in the attack. Starting from noon, American and Israeli aircraft launched a new wave of airstrikes against Iran. In this attack, the Natanz nuclear facility and the Minzadeh underground nuclear facility were destroyed. In the same attack, the airports of these cities were also struck. The airport terminal was rendered unusable, and an Airbus aircraft belonging to Iran Air was destroyed. Simultaneously with the airstrike, the U.S. Navy in the Gulf of Oman struck 3 Iranian naval vessels. It was reported that the ships were heavily damaged and rendered inoperable. U.S. President Trump wanted to launch a ground operation against Iran in addition to the air campaign. However, he stated that instead of deploying their own ground troops into Iran, they could use PYAK, an offshoot of the PKK operating in Iran. March 4th was a day marked by many significant events. In the morning hours, Trump held a phone call with the leaders of the Kurdistan Regional Government in northern Iraq, Barzani and Bafel Talabani. During the conversation, the possibility of the Peshmerga participating in a ground operation against Iran was discussed, and Talabani and Barzani stated that they viewed the operation positively on the condition that air support would be provided. The militant group PKK, on the other hand, instructed all its forces in Iranian territory to remain on alert. Following these developments, the Iranian army launched airstrikes on the Kurdistan region in Iraq and on areas where PYAK was present. In the evening, the Kurdistan Regional Government announced that they would not get involved in the conflicts in Iran and would not participate in any potential ground operation. For the rest of the day, Israeli and American aircraft continued their attacks. Over Tehran, an Israeli warplane shot down an Iranian fighter jet. This was the first aircraft shot down by the Israeli military since 1985. Iran, claiming that American aircraft had taken off from Saudi Arabia and Qatar, launched attacks on the Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar and on the facilities of the Saudi oil company Aramco. While the airbase sustained minor damage, heavy damage occurred at Aramco's facilities. Another significant event on March 4th was a ballistic missile launched from Iran entering Turkish airspace. After passing through Iraqi and Syrian airspace, the missile heading toward Turkey was intercepted over Hatay by NATO elements. The Iranian government stated that the missile had lost its course and headed toward Turkey, and that Turkey had never been the intended target. Another incident was the sinking of an Iranian naval vessel in the Indian Ocean by an American submarine. 104 Iranian soldiers on board were killed, while 32 were rescued wounded. The Iranian ship became the first vessel sunk by an American submarine since World War I. By March 5th, the intensity of events continued. 2 Iranian drones struck Nakhchivan International Airport. While the airport terminal was damaged, 2 people were injured in the incident. The Azerbaijani government reacted strongly and withdrew its diplomats from Iran. President Aliyev also stated that they were considering a military response. Air operations against Iran intensified again on the morning of March 5th. American B-2 bombers and Israeli F-35 fighter jets struck numerous targets in western and central Iran. Military facilities belonging to the Revolutionary Guards in Isfahan, Kermanshah, and Hamadan were targeted. In addition, air defense radars and S-300 batteries in western Iran were destroyed in this attack. On the evening of March 5th, the United States and Israel launched another operation. This attack, carried out by the U.S. Navy, aimed to destroy military infrastructure. The military airbase near Tabriz, the missile production facility in Shiraz, missile depots around Yazd and Kerman, and mobile ballistic missile launchers in western Iran were completely destroyed. Iran, in response, struck the Ain al-Assad base in Iraq with a ballistic missile, seriously injuring 1 American soldier. On March 6th, Trump stated in a press briefing that there was no time limit on how long the war would last and that it had only just begun. In the early hours of March 7th, a new airstrike was carried out against military targets in Iran. Mehrabad Airport in Tehran was bombed, and 16 aircraft belonging to the Iranian Air Force were destroyed. Iran, in turn, bombed an oil refinery belonging to an American company in Basra. In addition, a Maltese-flagged oil tanker attempting to pass through the Strait of Hormuz was struck by Iran and rendered inoperable. President Pezeshkian announced that Iran would halt its attacks against neighboring countries as of March 7th, and that retaliation would resume if attacked from those regions. However, the day after this statement, the United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia were struck by Iran. 2 soldiers were killed in Kuwait, and 2 civilians lost their lives in Saudi Arabia. On the same day, NATO announced that it had intercepted a second Iranian ballistic missile entering Turkish airspace. The intercepted missile fell in the city of Gaziantep. Meanwhile, the Republic of Turkey deployed 6 F-16 fighter jets and 2 air defense systems to northern Cyprus to ensure its security. On March 9th, Mojtaba Khamenei, the son of Ali Khamenei, was chosen as Iran's new supreme leader. Mojtaba Khomeini declared that he would avenge his father. However, the following day, a building where Mojtaba Khomeini was present was bombed in an airstrike on Tehran carried out by Beta bombers. The new supreme leader was wounded in the leg and eye, but it was reported that his condition was not serious. It was also announced that Iran's deputy minister of intelligence was killed in the same attack. On March 12, the U.S. military announced that nearly 60 Iranian warships and 31 Iranian warplanes had been destroyed. The Iranian side, however, claimed that they had killed nearly 500 American soldiers since the beginning of the war and had shot down 15 American and 2 Israeli warplanes. The Iranian army continues to strike Israel and American bases in Iraq, while Israel and the United States continue targeting military sites in Iran. Our hope is that the war will come to an end as soon as possible.